Welcome to Qyrus Unscripted, a podcast by Qyrus, bringing you unscripted conversations at the intersection of AI, automation, and modern software quality. No buzzwords, no fluff, just real talk about what's actually shaping the way software gets built and tested today. Today's episode is hosted by Ameet Deshpande, SVP of Product Engineering at Qyrus, someone who's been at the forefront of building and scaling modern QA and engineering solutions.
Software testing is at an inflection point. For decades, we have optimized for precision, repeatability, and control. Because the systems were built deterministic, if the input was fixed, the output was expected to be fixed. That assumption is now broken. We are entering an AI-first world where systems generate, adapt, and evolve, where outputs are not exact, but contextual, where correctness is no longer a string match, but a question of intent, relevance, and trust. And this changes the role of testing fundamentally. Testing can no longer be just about execution. It has to move towards interpretation, decision-making, and governance. That is why we are starting this podcast, Qyrus Unscripted. We chose to open this series with AI because it is the force that is redefining every assumption testing was built on. If we understand AI, we understand the future of quality. This podcast is not about tools. It is about helping the testing community prepare for the lead and the shift that is taking place right now, to build a clear understanding of what autonomous quality actually means, to challenge the existing assumptions, and to define how quality engineering must evolve in an AI-first world. So to take this discussion forward, I am joined by Vatsal. Vatsal is part of our AI team who is leading all the autonomous features of Qyrus. And welcome to the podcast, Vatsal. I know you're fresh off from attending this event, which was run by or hosted by OpenAI. What did you learn? How was it?
It was a very nice experience. So it was a Codex meetup. This was probably the very first OpenAI Codex meetup in Bangalore. They just showcased all the Codex features which were released along with the GPT 5.4 model and the CUA capabilities. One thing which was very nice to see, or very probably I didn't expect it, was the folks who were in the panel were focusing more on testing now than ever before. Because the development cycles have been very fast now, so testing is more relevant now. So which was probably, I was not expecting that. I was expecting more around how do you develop this, how quickly you ship this, or what are the new frameworks. So that was one very interesting thing that probably I saw.
Right. I'm sure. I think the discussions would be more around automation, because it's about. I mean, we originally wrote code to automate something, but the process of writing code itself is getting automated. So it's more like automation of automation, so to speak. But it's not surprising that people are starting to think about quality when there is more code getting built. So let's start from the basics, right? Because, like every other industry, we have evolved. Every technology evolves. So similarly, from the days of when the first line of code was written, testing started, obviously. To a point where, the velocity at which applications were built was getting faster. Yeah. And also the size of the applications were getting bigger. So it was no longer a possibility to kind of have a bunch of people test everything manually. I mean, that's when we said machines are going to help. And obviously, naturally, what happened was that the test cases that were run by manual testers, so those were used as an input to kind of turn them into an automated test. And that's where the expected result versus actual result kind of comparison started coming in. So which basically meant that we should be in a position where we should be knowing what is the expected result when I'm writing the test case. So, but I think that is the mold that changes completely, when it comes to AI, right? So that's the inflection point that we are trying to address. So now, given in that situation, the way we know automation today, with the likes of Selenium or Playwright or whatever, deterministic automation as we call it, How do you think AI to begin with will help there? Is it going to impact that as well as to how we automate? Like when I'm using Playwright, if I'm using Selenium, if I'm using Qyrus or something like that, how can AI help in that case? Let's start with something very basic.
So the very first basic which will change is like the speed at which we are writing software. That is the same speed at which we can write tests. While we are writing software, at the same time we can write tests. Another thing is even if if you've written all your test cases and test scripts, AI can help you in, let's say your script is broken or your developer pushes something and your locators change. AI can help you with that, right? It can help you fix that. So there are already healing mechanisms out there. So now because of the context and it can read the entire HTML, it can go and semantically see that this step was doing XYZ and now it broke because the locator changed. Now what can I use? Like via semantic search or probably semantically in the context, it can find that, okay, I can heal it like this. I can give a new locator. If the locator is not stable, it can go to something like a coordinate based system, right? So it can help you in fixing your scripts in runtime or post runtime. Another thing it can help you is do something called visual question answer. Like up until now, everyone was doing like this text visible here. Is this button red or green? Right? Is this blank or not? Is this disabled or not? Right? Everything was programmatic, right?
Yeah.
But now with visual, it can even go further. It can see that, okay, I had designed it like this, then the output it came like this, right? So is it correct or not, right? So it can help you with the visual angle.
So that makes sense. So, like how there's always some resistance that we see when any new technology comes in, and that's kind of human nature. We don't like change. But what we've also seen is this is probably the best path that any tester can take as to how they can slowly, but in a very impactful way, kind of bring AI, like get their hands dirty in terms of using AI for smaller things, and then probably evolve. I think the other thing is also the improvement in the computer vision side of things, right? So we have gotten better, we've gotten cheaper when it comes to doing visual regression and things like that, right? So like, how does my screen look like from the last time to this time?
Yes.
And so such kind of things are also much faster to do and quicker to do today, as opposed to specialized tools that we used to do in the past. Now, when you think, obviously, as we spoke about evolution, now we're going to talk about something that's probably is going to, make many folks, uncomfortable, which is the deadly word called autonomous.
Yeah.
And now, why do I say that being a dangerous word is it kind of directly connects to how much trust you have on these AI systems. So when we see people pushing back on certain parts about AI, it is it's mainly because they don't trust that the AI will do the right job all the time, right? So when that is the thing, then how is it possible that someone can completely hand over their testing to a set of agents or a group of AI agents, right, which can do it autonomous? But before kind of we get there, I think I think it's our job to help people understand, like how will testers or the quality engineers still play a role, no matter even if the testing goes autonomous and so on, which we will kind of slowly uncover. But at this point, how do you define autonomous testing? Like, can you paint a picture as to how that will look like and what does it entail?
So what is truly autonomous is, let's say, I would take an example of how a manual tester used to do, then came the automation scripts, and how it will be autonomous. Right? So manual testers, when one manual tester, a set of manual tester QA engineers used to get the requirement, get the app, and then they used to write test cases out of it. Then they would divide that among themselves, right? If there are 100 test cases and 10 QA folks, everyone will take 10, 10, 10, go through those tests, like basically manually go through, check it, raise bugs, right? Then came automation. The test cases remained, and test cases remained like that. Then instead of the manual testers going, folks used to write Selenium scripts or Playwright scripts, and then they used to run it, right? Again, now they can scale it. Like basically, if the test cases are written and settled and the scripts are written, you can keep running it regressively after every sprint or after every release. Now, how will autonomous? So basically, the manual testers stop going to the website or the web app and then or mobile app or whatever, and they stop the testing part because those scripts are written, right? So truly autonomous comes when your tests are, your app is there, your requirements are there, you feed it to AI, it writes the test cases, then it spawns like multiple browsers or multiple mobile frameworks and goes and does those test cases, like goes through those test cases and tests it, and then comes back with a report. That is truly autonomous. Now, if you add multiple different agents in the background to do visual QA, performance analysis, accessibility analysis, and things like that. So those are your byproducts of your entire autonomous
system. Right. So what we're essentially saying is it's similar to, I mean, the best way to kind of sometimes look at it is how can AI do what we as a team do today?
Yes.
And then kind of create this virtual team of AI agents, like how we form a team. So similarly, there is an agent which is coordinating everything, which is probably like a test lead or a test architect kind of agent. And then there is a performance testing group.
Correct.
Then there is a accessibility and functional and so on and so forth. And that's what we consume. Correct. So it's like basically mimicking our existing setup, but more in a virtual fashion is what we understand. But again, I think for many people out there, the definition of agent itself is kind of different people have different ways of interpreting what an agent is. So just so everyone understands, so would it be right to kind of define an agent as an AI that can do, as opposed to the AI that used to only think and respond? Right. So would that be a fair definition?
Yeah, agent is basically the AI which can do things given the set of tools that it has.
Right.
So again, it thinks and it comes with an output. Now the output is added into a system which does something based on that output, runs some tools and come back. And the other thing is AI analyzes that output and gives you the report. Right. So that is basically giving agency to an LLM.
Right. So I'm sure many QA folks out there, you guys might be wondering if autonomous, like we'll kind of slowly talk about, how realistic are these and what are the practical difficulties and so on and so forth. And I'm sure many folks in the QA community out there might be wondering how can they play a role, right? So if autonomous testing is how things are going to be done, so will I be just coming there watching these agents do stuff, or and this is probably where we hear the terms of HOTL and HITL, right? So human on the loop and human in the loop. How do you define? Because this is something that's going to be very important for the testing community to understand as to what role will they be playing. So can you define, like in very simple terms, what is HOTL and HITL?
So basically, like, to answer the first question, will they be seeing the agents? So it's like a yes and no. That's where the HOTL, HITL comes from. So because in testing, you can say that, okay, these are test systems, you go whatever you want to go and do, right? But in general automation case, you might not want to do that. So in any type of automation that you are giving AI agency with a set of tools and probably a VM to go and do whatever it wants to do, you will still have things around, let's say, usernames, passwords that you might not want to feed the AI directly.
Yeah.
So then you have the human in the loop. Like another thing is around human on the loop is basically it will come when let's say AI has done the first pass that with the usernames and passwords and MFAs and things like that. Right. But still the human will be in the loop and has to be in the loop unless and until we figure out systems to give AI the access to probably username, passwords, different types of signing links, different types of authorization. Human on the loop will come in the second pass, like I mentioned. Is once it is done, it will come and notify that, oh, okay, I have done this, and go and check the report. So it's currently like a yes and no. So yes, they will watch. No, they will also help the AI with this data set.
Right.
And then data set as in like the different things that are knowledge to them, they can give it in the context, right? Whenever the AI asks for that.
Right. So, like, how would you, so then in that case, when I say I'm sitting and watching AI do stuff, would that be an HOTL thing or will that be an HITL thing?
So
like what is it kind of,
I'm on the loop,
human on
so
the
I'm
loop.
Just watching. I'm just watching, I'm on the loop, I'm watching the AI do thing. But when the AI comes and says that, okay, I'm locked here, then you are in the loop.
Okay, so where you have to act
where
on
you have
that,
to act on that, or probably give it some guidance,
test data or something.
test data or guidance.
Right.
So now basically it depends on how the AI agents are built. So if they keep saving things, the last time I asked this, so next time I might not ask this. Right? So that is a very beautiful thing about these agents. They can,
Right.
If you create the right set of tools, you can help them remember things.
Right. Right. I think that's of all things about AI as a technology, what I really feel is it's much easier to understand, especially the agentic side of it. And many people might not agree with what I'm saying, but it's more like humans, right? Like, if I like, it's like, so we take care, we think of this example of like when we automate a web-based application from UI. So let's say I go to a banking app and I say create an account. Then the first thing I have to do is log in and then or register. Like I have to go to register and then feed in a few of my details, and then I can create an account and then put some money into it and so on, right? But when you look at it, like when we automate something like this, we log in, we would generally write as a reusable function. And why do we do that? Because we don't want to kind of repeat it again. No, now if but that's kind of how we look at machines, and that's how we have coded it. But what is playing behind or in the minds or like behind the scenes is the fact that the moment I see a workflow, I'll remember it forever. So then next time I don't struggle with executing that workflow. So that's exactly what we're doing here, right? So when you speak about, okay, the agents can remember, so we are essentially giving them the power of memory. So that will not make them overthink, which will make the system much faster. So it's exactly like how we as humans do, right? And I think that's where I personally strongly believe that testers will never be out of the loop when it comes to things like this, because probably this will need more testing. The only thing that I kind of see is the shifting of where the testing is going to happen. I don't think it is no longer on the app level, because app level testing will be taken care by AI. But what we will be looking at or probably be focused on is whether it is making the right decisions on what to test and how to test and so on. So that kind of brings us to this point about, okay, now great. So we are all going to use AI for doing multiple things. Our life is good. We are in the loop wherever required. Once the trust is gained, so we'll be on the loop. But how do we trust this AI? That's the fundamental question that everyone. So it means that I have to find a way to test the decisions that AI is making. How do we do that? So is that the new thing that everyone, or at least the testing community, has to start focusing on? Okay, given that fundamental problem of testing of applications is solved, and now the question is, how do I test the AI itself? So what are your thoughts on that?
It's probably the next major thing in testing. So we are shifting from testing what you call deterministic systems, where I give an input, I get some kind of output, to an AI which is giving some input, which will input to that system, and it might get different output, or it might give the input differently, right? So that is where the next focus on testing will be there, and it will require, like, what you call it is not just a QA tester's job to do it. Like, it will require like the subject matter experts to add something into that, right? Because this area is very open. There is no one framework which allows you to test it. There is no one framework via which you can check that my AI made this decision, and this is a framework that I am using, which is global. And based on this framework, I'll say the decision is right or not. There is nothing like that, right?
There's no standard. There's no POM or a page factory and stuff like that. There are no design patterns to this.
There are no design patterns to it. So you make your design patterns. You see how your agents are running. What are they doing? How are they doing that?
Right.
And how would you test that?
Right.
When you test it, how would you say that this is my metric, or these are my numbers of pass or fails, which I'm happy with, and I can ship it to the next stage. Right? Yeah. And again, there is in this indeterminism, there is one more thing which adds is your AI agents can use different models. Right? So testing becomes exponentially like hard, and you have to automate this kind of testing.
Right.
But again, you still don't have frameworks for this, and every team would need to build their own frameworks and their own metrics on for every different agent. So if you have like a generative agent, it will be different. If you have an agent which goes and does something, it will be different. If you have an agent which has memory and goes and does something, it will be different.
Right.
And you might see different behavior on different models as well. So it will become very hard to track this. At the same time, there is no framework. So everyone has to build their own framework and their own set of populations for this.
Yeah. So I think that clearly tells everyone, like people, there's a lot of doom saying, testers will be out of their job, and people are trying to say, let's automate the testing itself. I don't think that's even remotely possible. It's just that probably what everyone means when they say this is that, okay, the job that we do as testers today is not going to be the same, but we will move on to something different, right? And I think that's where, like, I mean, this, like where we have been focusing on as a product, as a company, is to make sure that people are prepared for this. And this podcast, as we said, is also one of the reasons why we picked this topic, and we're going to kind of uncover all these things and make it more accessible. Like we have this thing that we launched recently about evaluation of the LLM layer itself. So where we say, okay, now how do you test the responses coming back from an AI, right? So and in an automated fashion, that we cannot be sitting and doing this. I think the biggest problem is also the input domain and the output domain are so massive that you cannot humanly kind of build data that is sufficient to kind of run this test. So it means that you need you basically need AI to test AI, right? Because you need something more non-deterministic, something that can come up with a strategy in real time to kind of assess the quality of an AI system. But what's interesting is the fact that that is something that the testers have to teach AI to do based on the use case. So you're now moving from being a tester to probably you should take a role of a teacher or take a role of a trainer, for example, right? So where whoever you are as a tester, how can you make your AI work like you with added capabilities? So which means that it's going to be exciting. It's quite exciting to see something work exactly like you. And it's like it's kind of a little philosophical to think about it, that you're trying to kind of raise this AI which is going to behave exactly like you, and so hence probably you should be at your best as a tester than you have ever been, because now you're not just testing one application in a deterministic form, but you're also teaching something else that is eventually going to test the application. But I think it's quite exciting, right? So which basically means that our autonomy, like when we said that we are at an inflection point, when we began this episode, so what we are essentially saying is autonomous quality is no longer about automation, technically speaking, right? So it's much more than that, which has a larger impact.
Right.
So
if you think about this, like AI testing AI, it's like if you not philosophically or just at a hierarchy, if you see, there'll be a junior QA, and then there'll be a senior QA, then there'll be a QA lead. So it is like that. So I do, like, basically, if I'm a junior QA, I'll be given a set of like 10 test cases. I'll go and do that. My senior will review it, and the senior will review it, and then say. So it is like that only. So you just build layers on top of layers.
Right.
So that is probably the one naive framework that we have right now. Like a smaller module can be judged by a bigger module. Right. So that is something comes from deep learning as well. Like we have teachers to do. Right. Teacher is a big module. It has a variety of knowledge, and it is still to a smaller module. Right. It's inverse of that. The smaller module does something, and the bigger module judges it. Right. So there is a naive way right now to probably tackle this very deterministic nature of an agent doing things. Because like even if you take anything, just from not automation or coding something, you can write the same thing in different manner. Everything is correct. Right. So you will have to have some kind of teacher, like you told, to go and say that okay, this is right, this is wrong. Right.
But on the lighter note, so people who are at the senior level, probably you might feel good to hear to this that you will have a much larger team. Because one of the things that you said, okay, now what will happen? Like, so will I be now an individual contributor? Probably no. I mean, you have a team of 1,000 agents or 100 agents, right? And they're all reporting to you. Now, not in real sense reported. Yeah, but maybe when we have seen so many examples in different companies where people are really doing this, right?
Yeah.
So they're not employing people; they are employing agents. So you will have like a much larger team in probably hundreds and thousands if you do that very well. So probably you're like running your own mini company.
Correct. It's like you are as good as your agents.
Yeah, right. And then your appraisals might happen based on how good your agents perform. Right?
Your agents perform.
So quite exciting times ahead, I'm sure. And then right again, as part of this series, we are going to uncover. Probably we should talk about context engineering and what does that mean in this context of QA. What does context engineering mean, and what are some of the challenges that still exist? What are some of the difficulties when people go out, and how are we as a group, as someone who is recognized as leaders in this space when it comes to Forrester's recent report and so on. So it's upon us to kind of how we make it accessible and easier for the larger QA teams to kind of adopt this and see this working for themselves. So at the end of the day, I think like humans, I think AI also has to earn your trust. So I think, and more than likely, it's not because AI is bad. It's probably you don't know how to make it perform at its best. So I think in the future episodes, as we move forward, we'll also uncover some of those techniques as to how you can make AI work for your testing.
Probably there will be resistance because like people are thinking AI might replace them, but people are not thinking about the point that AI might augment them.
Yeah.
So if they were able to, just for a QA tester, a junior tester was able to do like 10 or 20 test cases, what if they can just like go and give access to this AI?
Right.
AI becomes their knowledge worker. They are the knowledge, transfer the knowledge to them, and then let it write the test cases, write the scripts, and automate 50 test cases in a day.
Right.
So you're augmenting this.
So I think fundamentally that itself is changing. So there are a lot of questions which are unanswered. Many of us don't know whether the word test case will still remain. Right. Because why do I have to write a test case when I'm doing pretty much everything real time and I know of it. I know every single moving part of this application and so on. So one thing is clear at the end of this episode is that these are exciting times if you look at it that way. And the role of the tester is more important and more critical than it has ever been. Because it's just that as QA guys, as testers, we have to kind of shift our focus more towards the quality of decision making and not on the testing of applications itself, and understanding some of the ideas so that we can leverage the power of AI to create value when it comes to quality perspective. And as someone rightly put, and I think it was Jensen Huang, right, who said this, right? So that it's not AI who will take your job; it is a person who is using AI who will take your job. So that's a very powerful thing. Yeah. And if we kind of align to this, and if we work towards understanding AI and adopting AI across our life cycle, we are going to be the winners, obviously. And more importantly, as we said, it is nothing is going to change. In fact, you'll have a bigger team. You'll have bigger problems to deal with. There are hundreds of team members. So future is good. Future is unlimited. So I think let's continue this series and then uncover other topics. So thanks for joining us. We will come back with more exciting topics and make all of this more accessible and ensure that AI earns your trust so that you can adopt AI and maximize your value.